Yeah. The One Piece. The One Piece live action is good. And I'm tired of pretending that it's not. Is it the best live action ever created? No. Inuyashiki is still better. Is it perfect? No. So why is it good? Well, I've seen a lot of live action adaptations of mangas, and all of them have been absolutely horrible. They scarred me for life. When I see something that is remotely good, I'm gonna praise it, okay? I'm gonna fanboy out. Nah, just kidding. I'm still gonna be critical, because it may be one of the better live action adaptations, but it still had problems. Let's start off at the beginning where we see Luffy for the first time. Luffy in the manga is absolutely brain dead. In the Davy Bag fight, when Foxy, the villain of that arc, wore masks, they were clearly masks, Luffy was like, "Hey, have you seen Foxy? It's literally Foxy behind the mask." And Luffy doesn't understand that it's Foxy wearing a mask. Even his crewmates were like, "Is our captain brain dead?" And later on, in the story, Usopp wears a mask. He has the exact same clothes as before. You can see his nose, you can see his hair. The Luffy believes that Usopp is a completely different character. Luffy is an absolute moron, an idiot. But in the live action adaptation, it seems that Luffy is a lot smarter. Netflix decided that they are not going to make Luffy brain dead. I actually like Netflix's Luffy a lot more than the current Luffy we have in the manga. Honestly, I was never a fan of Luffy. I liked Sanji, Zoro, Nick Robin, Nami, Frankie Brook. I like the crewmates more than Luffy. But right now in the Netflix adaptation, Luffy is one of my favorite characters. Netflix's Luffy is an improvement. There, I said it. Now let's talk about the story. Luffy is on a small boat that starts sinking. He hides inside of a barrel, and later the barrel is found by Alvida pirates. They bring him on board. Luffy finds out that Alvida is evil, that Alvida keeps Koby as a slave. So he fights against Alvida, defeats her, and then he rescues Koby and takes Koby with him. Now I'm gonna talk about Alvida and Koby. Let's talk about Alvida. I think the actor did a good job, nothing special really. But one thing I want to talk about is the fact that Alvida in the manga or season 2 of the Netflix show returns as skinny because she ate a devil fruit. Will Netflix replace this actor in season 2, or will this actor decide to lose the weight for season 2? Because One Piece live action was massive. It made hundreds of millions of dollars. It was number 1 on Netflix. I also think that it has the best rating of any Netflix show. Yeah, so whatever these actors made in season 1, they are going to make 10 times as much in season 2. If I was in Alvida's actor's shoes and Netflix told me that I can't act in season 2 and Netflix needs to find a skinny actor, I would create a shitstorm. I would be like, Netflix is fat phobic. They don't want fat women to play roles. All the good roles are given to skinny pretty women. I understand that Alvida became skinny in the manga, but those were bad times. So what? So what if she became skinny? Why can't the devil fruit just make her slippery? Why does it have to make her lose weight? Netflix needs to be cancelled for being fat phobic. How dare they? How dare they replace me? I did a good job and they want to replace me with some babe? Is there going to be a group of people trying to cancel One Piece for being fat phobic? Probably, and I'm calling it right now. Anyways, let's talk about Koby now. Koby is perfect. They found an actor that looks like Koby and acts like Koby. Perfect casting. You can look at Koby and you can see that he's a coward, he's a weak little boy, but he has a very big heart. He is a coward, yes, but He wants to become stronger, he wants to become a marine so he can help people. And one more thing I want to say about Koby is, look at that cute little baby face, I just want to pinch it. I wonder how they found a man like this, a man with such a cute, innocent baby face. Next up we have Zoro, and Zoro fights against Mr. 7. I love this scene, I think this is the best scene in episode 1. Not only do we meet a Baroque Works agents and we find out about the organization early on in the story, we also see Zoro killing someone, cutting someone in half, something that has never happened in One Piece. Zoro, a guy with 3 sharp swords, has never killed anyone. That is literal nonsense. Every single villain Zoro has faced has survived. In the manga, it was mentioned once that Zoro killed Mr. 7, and that made no sense at all because Zoro never kills anyone. Because Oda has a problem with killing off characters, because Oda is a pussy. Like, Oda kills off characters and then brings them back from situations that were 100% deadly and no one could have survived. Anyways, Zoro kills someone, cuts the guy in half. Something that should happen more often, considering the fact how sharp his swords are. But yeah, Zoro kills the guy, looks absolutely badass while doing it. Then Zoro stuffs Mr. 7's body in a bag to collect the bounty on the guy. Now let's talk about Luffy's backstory. I think that Shanks was done good, but they don't show Shanks a lot in episode 1, so I'm gonna talk about Kid Luffy. Kid Luffy looks nothing like the actor playing grown-up Luffy. I don't know who did the casting, but it's all wrong. His eyes are different, his nose is different, his mouth is different, his hair is different, his skin tone is different. It's like they picked a random Latino kid from the street and they were like, hey you, a random kid from the street, come play in One Piece live action for us. They didn't even bother to find a child actor that looks remotely similar to Luffy's actor. I think one of the creators or the producers, writers, whatever, just decided that they want their son to play in the TV show. And that's how child Luffy was casted. Next up, we have a scene with Nami stealing a boat from Pyra. Wait, what? Yeah, so apparently Nami in the live action version is in the Romance Dawn arc. In the manga, she was first introduced in the next arc, Orange Town. Nami looks absolutely perfect. She looks exactly like Nami from the manga came to life. The only problem I have with Nami is the fact that her character, her personality is not similar to the Nami in manga, because the live action Nami is very bitchy. She always has a very angry face, her eyes are very angry. She looks like she's always pissed off and never happy. They got the looks of Nami right, but the personality is all wrong. Okay, so the entire plot of the first episode is that Luffy and Nami want to get the exact same map from Axe and Morgan. They argue, they bicker, they fight over the map. And Zoro just happens to be there. So this entire story is made up for the Netflix show. Pretty sure this didn't happen in the manga. Luffy and Koby end up in a bar. Nami is at the same bar and Zoro is at the same bar. They don't know each other at this point. The little girl comes up to Zoro to offer him food. Now in the manga this actually made sense, because Zoro was captured by the Marines. The little girl wants to offer Zoro food in the manga because Zoro is captured by the Marines and he is starving to death. They have not fed him for a week. But in the live action, a little girl just shows up out of nowhere and she is like, "Here, mister, take my food." And then Helmeppo shows up. The girl accidentally gets her food on Helmeppo and he loses his mind. Out of anger, Helmeppo throws the food on the ground and then Zoro starts eating the food from the ground like an animal. In the manga, this scene made a lot more sense because Zoro was literally starving to death. But in the live action, he just ate the food from the floor to show some random girl kindness. Okay. I mean, this is the same guy that just 10 minutes ago cut some guy in half and killed him, stuffed his body in a bag to collect the guy's bounty, right? Zoro shows disrespect to Helmeppo, who is a son of a marine captain named Axe-Hand Morgan. So all hell breaks loose. Zoro starts fighting against the marines. Nami uses the opportunity to knock out the marine and steal his clothes. Because Nami wants to infiltrate the marines and steal the map from Axe-Hand Morgan. Zoro is captured. Luffy still wants to get the map that Axe-Hand Morgan has, so he infiltrates the marine base. And he finds Zoro. And he makes Zoro a deal that he's going to untie him if he joins the crew. Zoro rejects Luffy, just like in the manga. Now the one thing I don't understand is the fact that there are thousands of marines at the base, and not a single one of them keeps an eye on Zoro. Not a single one of them notices Luffy talking with Zoro. Not a single one of them notices Luffy crawling out of a manhole to infiltrate the marine base. I found that kind of weird. Anyways, Luffy meets Nami. Nami is dressed up as a marine and Luffy figures out that she is not a marine, she's a infiltrator, just like him. Because unlike the manga, in the Netflix show, Luffy is not that stupid. If this scene happened in the manga, Luffy would be like, oh, you're a marine, I'm gonna fight you now, or something stupid like that. Anyways, Nami dressed up as a marine takes Luffy as a hostage. I mean, they are pretending that Luffy is a hostage. And then Axe-Hand Morgan comes out of nowhere and he's like, hey you, I have never seen you before. Who is this person that you are with? And Nami tells Axe-Hand Morgan that she's a new recruit and Luffy is a pirate that she captured. And Axe-Hand Morgan, without any questions, is just like, okay, carry on. He doesn't even question why this new recruit is escorting a pirate alone. Meanwhile, Zoro escapes and he finds Helmeppo. And Helmeppo is naked. We see his ass. Thanks a lot for that, Netflix. Helmeppo is scared. He asks Zoro if he is going to kill him and Zoro just cuts his hair. Cut back to Luffy and Nami. Luffy and Nami found Axe-Hand Morgan's safe. The map that they are after is in the safe. So Luffy uses his rubber abilities, shocking Nami, trying to open the safe. Somehow Luffy ends up falling out the window with Nami and the safe. They fall from a high distance and Nami is completely unscathed. She is completely fine. She survived falling down from a massive building without any injuries, surviving a fall like that. But how did Nami survive a fall like that? I can understand Luffy, a rubberman, surviving a fall like that, but Nami surviving without any injuries, that makes no sense at all. Anyways, they are both on the ground, surrounded by marines, surrounded by Axe-Hand Morgan. Zoro shows up and the three of them face Axe-Hand Morgan. Zoro and Luffy team up and fight against him. Yeah, and it's a good fight. One of the best fights I've seen in a live action adaptation. The fights on this show are 10 out of 10. The choreography is amazing. They defeat Axe-Hand Morgan. They have the map. Now it's time to leave. Zoro and Nami leave with Luffy. Luffy calls them his new crewmates and they argue with Luffy, saying that they are not a crew. The episode ends with Carp. They show Carp. The one thing that this show did great is the fact that they showed Carp chasing after Luffy, because in the manga they didn't really show it that much. So I'm glad that they showed Carp much earlier in the live action. The last thing I want to talk about are the bounties that we saw when Koby and Luffy arrived on the island. These bounties pretty much foreshadow that Foxy and Bellamy are going to be in future seasons. Sadly, it seems that they are not going to cut Long Ring, Long Land arc. Because if there's one arc you can cut from this story, it's probably that one and Fishman Island. Anyways, my rating for this episode is like 7 out of 10. It's good, it's one of the better live action shows out there.